Sometimes I look out the window at the open sky and imagine a future where flying cars cross through the sky, low-flying spacecraft shuttling to the moon, to Mars, to the comets, arc gracefully across the sky in great numbers, contrails tracing in all directions. I imagine a late sunset with glistening craft of all kinds surging through the skies to myriad destinations, landing, rising out towards space, crossing at high speeds. And then I think about someone like me in that future, sitting here, looking out the window at the open sky, and seeing all that, all those personal aircraft, all those car planes, all those shuttles to Earth, from Earth. Seeing all that, the way I see traffic when I look out my window, crowding the road. And I imagine that person, someone like me, in that future, thinking how ugly and packed and disruptive it is, seeing all that in the sky. And dreaming then back to a time, my time here, this time now, when the sky was free and clear, except for the occasional graceful plane passing by. No traffic cluttering the sky, no noise of rockets taking off, no contrails clouding the view. Any mess is left to the ground below, on the streets. And that person would be envious perhaps of me, of the view that I would have. Even though when I look out and I see the traffic on the street, I think that is ugly and detracts perhaps from the view of what would be their otherwise nature or something. To me, I view this futuristic traffic and think of how wondrous and beautiful it would be, where someone in the future would look at it the way I look at traffic on Main Street. What a different perspective. The future is very different when you're there. And that's how it should be. Imagining the future and appreciating its potential majesty and the wonder, these things move us forward. They give us the determination, the impetus, the goals. They make us want to succeed, and as we start to see success, they make us enjoy it. Familiarity, born of success, easy success, breeds a kind of contempt. The thing you're used to, the thing you take for granted, is no longer wondrous, it just is. When you get to that point, you've won the future. You're no longer struggling, it's commonplace. Vehicles that can cross the country at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, cross a state in a matter of hours. These are so familiar to us that we can look at the traffic and not think how wondrous, how amazing, look at what this has done to allow travel, to allow shipping from place to place. I can put it in order online and have it the very next day, if that. No, we see the traffic, cars, the lights, the congestion. We smell the fumes. We hear the noises, the squealing brakes. And it is so everyday to us that far from being wondrous, it is often contemptible, or at the very least, annoying. And one day perhaps it will be like that too, for flying cars, shuttles to the moon, and who knows what else. each generation will necessarily make certain assumptions of what is normal. Only within the last handful of years, we've gotten accustomed to having our phones in our hands nearly all the time. It's become almost an integral piece of our day-to-day wear. Not so long ago, that would have been very strange, even if the technology had been conceived. Why would you need your phone next to you all the time? Of course, it's more than a phone now. It's, in many ways, our portal to the world, or at least the most convenient portal to the world. And phones still now hold that balance between what is fascinating and cool to us and what is just an everyday object. We still look for the nicest phone. We still get excited unpackaging the next best phone, but that edge is wearing off as subsequent models fail to deliver really new features most of the time. But still, we get caught by some interesting features, some change. And this is fine. This change is natural. In fact, these assumptions are good. These assumptions of course this is the way things are. Of course we have these phones. Of course we have cars. Of course they work. And when they don't work, we get upset. This all represents the positive outcome of generations of hard effort. In fact, it's only a fruitful and industrious society which can reap these rewards in such a way that we are able to become complacent with them and even annoyed at them. The reward we get for pushing ourselves individually and as a society gives us increased ease in the form of labor-saving devices, gives us increased safety in the form of superior vehicles that can handle themselves in a collision, joy, being able to communicate, being able to view media, create media, share media, being able to transport yourself to visit someone at a moment's notice, and any one of a number of other things. All of this is our benefit from getting technology to the point that we can become used to it. It is important, of course, not to take this all too casually. As a society, we can recognize how important it is for us to look continually toward the future and to see these increasingly progressing technologies as wonderments, while at the same time, on a day-to-day basis, recognizing the normalcy of what we have achieved. It's very much like achieving a personal success. If you struggled, let's say, out of poverty, you raised yourself by your own bootstraps and got yourself to a place where you live in the lap of luxury, where you had to scrimp and save to be able to have a basic meal on your table, and you were driving a clunker of a car, and now you buy a new car almost every year and eat like a king. You got used to that pretty fast. Your Mercedes or your Lexus will be just as normal as the beat-up clunker was some time ago. Ordering from a fancy restaurant will feel just as everyday as opening a can of beans was some time ago. You worked hard to achieve your success, and now you're there, and the reward of that success is not having to think about it all the time. The very act of treating a fancy meal or a luxury car or anything in that category as just how life is for you is an artifact of success. But once in a while, you might still pause and think about how good you have it. Maybe you do it around a holiday, Thanksgiving or something. Maybe someone reminds you of how far you've come in a conversation. Or maybe something just triggers your memory and you pause for a moment and think about how great it is to be where you are now and where you came from. We can't, as a society, get wrapped up in how amazing things are now. It's not practical, for one thing, and it would prevent us from really looking forward. The wish to always have things be better is what keeps us moving forward. And that's a great thing. It's also great if we remember to look back once in a while and think about what has changed, how far we have come, what we're capable of doing. Because it doesn't just help us appreciate what we have now, even though that is important, but it helps us frame the change of which we're capable. The fact that we can do as a society wondrous things is proven by the fact that we already have. And while there isn't, and presumably will never be, a consensus on how to define the best kind of progress, or whether we're going in all the right directions or not, taking a good, broad look at where we've come from, where we are now, and where we might go, can lend not only a sense of satisfaction in our own lives, but can help us start off on the right foot to move forward.